A Primrose Easter. In holiday forests, the animals lived and worked. While they usually keep to themselves most of the time, when they do get together, it's a grand celebration. Every animal in the forest had a task. This couldn't be more true than to the rabbits of Hoppersfield, where they prepare for Easter. One in particular was named Primrose Powderpuff. She was born and raised there to Mr. William Powderpuff and Daisy Powderpuff. And there are her sisters, Pansy, Petunia, Poppy, and Peach Blossom. Now, it was just before February, and the rabbits knew it wouldn't be long until spring came. Now was the time for Queen Lapidaria to choose an Easter bunny. And this is where our story begins. The rabbits gathered around in the center of Hoppersfield. Gently flying towards them was a bee-like woman. Though she had a regal look to her, she also had kind blue eyes. She had 2 large eyes and 3 smaller eyes on her forehead. She had fluffy yellow-orange hair with her antennae poking out. She wore varying shades of yellow, pink, and orange. This was their nature spirit of spring, Queen Lapidaria. "Rabbits of Hoppersfield," announced Queen Lapidaria. "We have gathered today, as we do each year, to decide on a new Easter bunny. I'm certain all of you remember the qualities to be such: to be a strong leader, listen to others, be kind, and be punctual." The rabbits politely cheer for Queen Lapidaria. I'm also certain you remember that Mr. Louis Longears and his family were responsible the previous year, Queen Lapidaria continued. "And we were grand at it," interrupted the rabbit in question. The other rabbits shushed him. "This year," Queen Lapidaria continued, "I feel that the rabbit who will be the best choice is Miss Primrose Powderpuff." "I, Your Majesty?" Miss Primrose gasped. "Yes, you," Queen Lapidaria smiled. "The help you give to your family and friends shows me that you indeed have the qualities to be an Easter bunny." "My goodness, Your Majesty," Miss Primrose blushed. "Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity." The rabbits cheered for her, and she modestly curtsied. "Now that you've been chosen," Queen Lapidaria continued, "you will have many tasks to fulfill. Easter, as you know, falls on Sunday out of the first full moon of spring. Miss Serena Shadows, whom I've appointed as Grand Groundhog, will inform you of when spring will begin. I must get to my own responsibilities now, but I will be watching over you. If you have any questions, you can count upon me." "I understand," Miss Primrose smiled. "Thank you again, Your Majesty." And so Queen Lapidaria flew on. The others congratulated Miss Primrose Powderpuff, and Mr. Louis Longears approached her. "You know, Miss Primrose," he smirked, "this is a big responsibility, and I can tell you that it is quite a bit of pressure to have our beloved holiday celebrations as lovely as they always are." "Yes, it is quite a bit," Miss Primrose said, "but I know I can count on my family to help. And since I've had experience," he continued, "I can give you any advice should you need it. We do have a tradition of a pole after all, and we rabbits do know how to run a tight ship when it comes to Easter. We're not like the other animals in the forest who keep to themselves and don't even bother to drop us a line." Miss Primrose Powderpuff paused at this remark. "It is true that they haven't visited us much," she started, "but we also haven't visited them much either." Mr. Louis Longears turned his attention towards her. "I think you might have given me an idea, Mr. Louis Longears," she smiled. "I'll need to talk it over with my family first. Thank you for speaking with me." On that note, Miss Primrose Powderpuff walked back to her family's den. Mr. Louis Longears was clearly annoyed. He thought to himself, and he walked through Hoppersfield. Later, the Powderpuff family were having lunch together. "Primrose," William smiled, "we couldn't be prouder of this moment. We knew one of us would be chosen sooner or later, and your efforts made it possible." "Yes, it is exciting," Primrose started. "Although, is something troubling you, my dear?" asked Daisy. "It must feel like quite a lot of pressure, but Queen Lapidaria said you can't have other rabbits help you." "Oh, that's not what's bothering me, Mother," Primrose replied, "but thank you. What is troubling me is that when Miss Serena Shadows comes to greet me about her shadow, it'll be the first time in a long while that different animals met up with us." "Oh, yes, it has been a while," Petunia added. "Though a lot of us animals in Holiday Forest have responsibilities to uphold, so it isn't your fault, or theirs." "That is true," Primrose noted, "but we should all put in the effort to get to know each other more. Plus, I have heard that human children like other animals as well as rabbits." "So what do you propose?" Poppy asked. "I propose not only will I have all of you help me," Primrose announced, "but I shall venture throughout Holiday Forest and befriend other animals. Then we can all work together and expand all of our social circles." "Well, it hasn't been done before," William said after he thought it over, "and it would be different. But if anyone can try something unique, it's you. So, when will you like to start making new friends?" "Tomorrow morning after Miss Serena Shadows' announcement," Primrose replied. "Then I'll go out to see some of the other animals of Holiday Forest." "And how long do you think you'll be away?" Daisy asked. "Considering the size of Holiday Forest as a whole," Primrose answered, "I believe it will take a week or two. If things do change, I'll do what I can." "We will certainly miss you while you're gone," Peach Blossom said, "but it does sound like an exciting journey." "Thank you, Peach Blossom," Primrose smiled. "And we'll help you get ready too," Pansy smiled. "I'll make sandwiches." "I'll make sure you have soap if you need to wash up," Petunia said eagerly. "It could be awfully dirty out there. And I'll make sure you have a pillow and blankets so you can sleep comfortably," Pansy said. "Girls, take it easy, please," William said, quieting his enthusiastic daughters. "Let's all finish our lunch first, and then we'll help Primrose. A little at a time, of course." And that's just what they did. They all made sure that the family wagon was full of things she would need. The next morning, they were finishing their breakfast together until they heard a knock at the door. "Yes," Primrose said as she answered the door. "Good morning," said a groundhog woman wearing a light purple skirt, darker purple cardigan. "You're Primrose Powderpuff, yes?" "Why, yes, I am," Primrose replied. "And you must be Serena Shadows." "Yes, miss," nodded the groundhog, politely shaking Primrose's hand. "I've come to tell you that I saw my shadow this morning." "Ah, so it's still winter," Primrose thought aloud. "That should give my family and myself more time to prepare." "Thank you, Miss Serena. Don't mention it," replied Serena politely. "Oh, I must ask you something first, if you don't mind," Primrose said. "Yes?" "Well," Primrose began, "I'm about to set off on a journey to befriend some other animals in Holiday Forest. Would you like to join me?" "I don't see why not," Serena shrugged. "My task is already done, so my schedule is practically open. So I think I will join you." "Ah, wonderful!" Miss Primrose smiled. "I think we'll have a delightful time together." So Miss Primrose Powderpuff grabbed her family's wagon, and she said a fond farewell to her family. "Goodbye and good luck, Primrose," William smiled. "Be safe, my daughter," Daisy said, embracing Primrose. "And take care of your new friend." "I will," Primrose smiled. "Farewell, everyone." "I'll look after her, too," Miss Serena promised. "We're certain of that," William nodded, trusting Serena. And so, Miss Serena and Miss Primrose set off at once. Things were quiet at first, but they knew that would change. Little did they know, however, that once Serena and Primrose left, someone had their eyes on the two. A rather suspicious pair of eyes. So, Miss Primrose thinks she can change how things are done by introducing other types of animals to Easter. I'll have to keep an eye on her to see what kind of animals she'll meet. She'll learn that Easter is a rabbit's holiday, and not some strange animals. Soon, Miss Serena and Primrose were out of Hoppersfield. As they walked on the forest path, they slowly but surely began to speak with each other. "So, was this your first time being the groundhog?" Primrose asks. "Yes, it was," Serena nodded. "Some other ones I can remember growing up were Mr. Walter Woodsey, Mrs. Gretchen Grounds, and Mr. Spencer Springtime. I think I remember seeing them before," Primrose smiled. "They spoke with my neighbors about their shadows." "Indeed," Serena smiled. "How about you? Is this your first time being an Easter bunny?" "It is, yes," Primrose said. "Yeah, Mr. Lewis Longears was in charge last year. He did a good job, but I think he was overly thrilled with the idea of doing so. He even says that if he could do it every year, He would. Though it wouldn't be fair to the other rabbits, Serena said. Wouldn't you agree? Oh, you're so right, Primrose said. Plus, you and I wouldn't have properly met. Indeed, Serena smiled. And I do like that we have met. As do I, Primrose smiled. Oh, Serena said suddenly. What is it? And Primrose asks. We're about to enter the part of Holiday Forest that I call my home. Burrow's Burrow, Serena said. We should explain to my neighbors where we're going and how long I'll be away. Ah, that is a brilliant idea, Primrose nodded. I wouldn't want your neighbors to worry about you. So the two animals enter Burrow's Burrow. Mrs. Primrose Powderpuff thought that it was slightly deeper than Hopper's field. There was little grass, as there was mostly dirt and ground. Miss Primrose Powderpuff didn't mind the dust or dirt. She knew that it was easy to wash off. As they walked through the burrow, many of Serena's neighbors greeted them. Good morning, Serena, said one. It looks like your greeting went well, said another. It did, thank you, Miss Serena responded. Everyone, this is Miss Primrose Powderpuff. She wasn't expecting the introduction, but Miss Primrose was still polite and she curtsied. I never thought we would actually meet an Easter bunny, one groundhog said. At least, not one who came to our part of the forest. It is quite nice here, Miss Primrose said. This is actually part of my own way to celebrate. I even have an announcement to make for all of you, Miss Serena said. The groundhogs weren't sure what she meant by that, but Miss Serena explained the story. The groundhogs thought this was a wonderful idea, so her neighbors wished her well on her journey and hoped for her safe return. They also gave her supplies she would need, and Miss Primrose and Miss Serena helped them into Primrose's cart. Thank you, everyone, Miss Serena smiled. She then turned her attention towards Miss Primrose. Now that's taken care of, we can proceed. Miss Primrose smiled, and together the two friends proceeded, making their way out of Burrow's Burrow. It wasn't long before the two of them were walking through a different forest. The impressive larch and Norway spruce trees were still bare of foliage, but they were still beautiful. What animals do you think we'll meet first? Asked Miss Serena. I'm not certain just yet, Miss Primrose answered. From what I recall, there are squirrels, skunks, badgers, wolves, bears, and foxes. I have seen them out and about during our get-togethers. I haven't gotten to know them yet, though. Do you think they'll be kind to us? Miss Serena asks. I do, Miss Primrose answered. Though I know for sure I'm going to be kind to them. My mother taught me that in order to receive kindness, I must give kindness first. Those are truly wise words, Miss Serena smiled. Suddenly, a low growl made them stop walking. What was that? Miss Serena gasped. You don't suppose a bear cub woke up early from its hibernation, do you? Miss Primrose couldn't help but chuckle to herself. I'm afraid you're mistaken on that, Miss Primrose said. That growl was actually my stomach. Her stomach growled once more. Shortly afterwards, Miss Serena's stomach also growled. I see your point, Miss Serena said. Perhaps we should have had lunch before we left Burrow's Burrow. Not to worry, Miss Primrose said. We now both have plenty of food, so we can have a picnic lunch. So the two friends got their picnic put together. Miss Primrose and Miss Serena spread out the picnic blanket, then they settled down and had a delightful lunch of garden salad, vegetable sandwiches, hot soup from thermoses, and some cream puffs that Daisy made. After they finished their lunch, they helped to clean up. Thank you for your help, Miss Primrose smiled. Think nothing of it, Miss Serena said. When we get back to Hoppersfield, I will have to praise your mother for those lovely cream puffs. I'm sure she'd love to hear that, Miss Primrose smiled. At that moment, she felt a drop of what she thought was water land on her right ear. Oh, she exclaimed. I didn't expect rain to fall so suddenly. That wasn't a raindrop, Miss Serena clarified as she handed Miss Primrose a cloth. It looks like a drop of blue paint? Sorry, called a feminine-sounding voice from above them. I'm usually much more careful with my paints. The two ground-bound friends looked up into the trees. They caught sight of a light gray squirrel wearing orange and brown clothing. Her orange coat was open to reveal a white collared shirt fastened with a cravat. She also wore brown pantaloons. On her head rested an orange beret. Nearby her section of tree was an art canvas. She had a paint palette in her left hand and a paintbrush in her right hand. It was evident she was an artist. No harm done, Miss Primrose called up to the squirrel. It will wash off. Yes, I know, the squirrel said. It's just that I was so focused on my painting that I didn't notice you two here. Yes, but we'll be continuing shortly, since we just finished our picnic lunch, Miss Serena said. We're on telling of a journey through Holiday Forest. A journey, you say? The squirrel grew ever curious. What sort of journey? Well, Miss Primrose explained, I was appointed to be the new Easter Bunny by Queen Lapidaria while Miss Serena finished her job as designated groundhog for Groundhog Day. Ah, the squirrel said. That is an honor on both your parts. Thank you, Miss Primrose said. So we're on this journey to meet and befriend other animals, so that they could also help my family and myself with the Easter celebration. Well, the squirrel said, amazed. I say that's a remarkable idea. Indeed, it is, Miss Serena said. Miss Primrose couldn't help but modestly blush. The blush faded away when she said her next statement. Oh, but where are my manners? She said aloud. She said aloud. My name is Primrose Powderpuff, and this is my friend, Miss Serena Shadows. It's a pleasure to meet you both, the squirrel said as she made her way down from the tree. Acornelia Artiste, at your service. I couldn't help but notice, Miss Serena said, but you don't wear a dress like Miss Primrose and I do. I have tried wearing one once, Miss Acornelia explained, but I found it difficult to climb up and maneuver through trees while wearing one. That makes sense, Miss Serena said. Thank you for the explanation. Absolutely, smiled Miss Acornelia. If there's anything else you wish to know, we can walk and talk. Oh, before I forget, Miss Primrose said, it's going to be quite a long walk, and I do have plenty of cream puffs to share. Would you like some to eat before we start on again? Well, I'm not terribly hungry, Miss Acornelia replied, but I wouldn't be opposed to at least one cream puff. So Miss Primrose gave Acornelia a cream puff. She ate it, savoring the sweet taste and fluffy yet slightly crisp texture. So the three new friends walked on. As they carried on, they did in fact talk with each other. If you don't mind me asking, Miss Primrose said, but I saw you painting earlier. Do you use these artistic skills in Holiday Forest? I do indeed, smiled Miss Acornelia. I use the colors I find in nature to paint pieces associated with certain holidays. I use varying shades of green for St. Patrick's Day, various secondary colors for Halloween, and some cold colors as well as contrasting red for Christmas. That's brilliant, Miss Primrose said. We use quite a few colors in our Easter eggs. Perhaps you could help us. That sounds wonderful, exclaimed Miss Acornelia happily. I have considered the chance, but I'm glad to be properly asked to do so. My family is going to love meeting you, Miss Primrose chuckled. I know I certainly have, Miss Serena said. So, shall we continue? Yes, Miss Acornelia smiled. Lead the way, please. So once the remnants of the picnic were tidied up, the three friends ventured out of the tree-laden area. They continued on the path for a while, taking in their surroundings. Soon they noticed the sun beginning to set. The three had to stop walking so they could rest their feet. My goodness, Miss Serena panted. I feel like we walked quite a long way. Indeed, Miss Primrose said. We must be close to another town by now. Right, Miss Acornelia confirmed. A little ways from here is bound to be Muskberry. The skunks live there. Skunks? Miss Primrose asked. Have you ever met them before? I would often see them walk by, Acornelia said, but I never probably met them before. Usually I'm too focused on my artwork. And Miss Serena said sheepishly, I want to admit I'm a bit afraid of the idea of meeting them. Skunks are known for being smelly, aren't they? Even so, Miss Primrose said, we should be courteous and get to know at least one. Besides, whoever they are, they might be a good friend of us if we're a good friend to them. You're right, Miss Serena nodded. It wouldn't be fair to judge someone for how they smell. Indeed, Miss Acornelia said. Once the three friends were rested, they walked a bit more on their path. Sure enough, as Acornelia had stated, they came across a quaint little town. This was Muskberry, home of the skunks. The houses were composed of underground dens, piles of wood, and piles of rocks. The air was perfumed by a light, lingering skunk smell, likely due to the skunk citizens using it as a means of protecting their homes. Such quaint-looking homes, Miss Acornelia noted, holding her nose. And the smell is noticeably potent, Miss Serena said, fanning the air close by her nose. Come on now, Miss Primrose said. We should make the effort to have made at least one of them.
True, Miss Acornelia said. You're right. The only trouble is, which one?
The three friends looked over the homes. But as they contemplated, thick nimbus clouds brewed overhead. The three noticed that the night sky grew even darker. Oh dear, Miss Serena said. It looks like it's about to. The sky opened and rain began to pour on them. The three hustled with Primrose's cart to try to get out of the rain, causing them to run to a burrow with a lush-looking vegetable garden in front. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, carrots, celery, collard greens, kale, leeks, mushrooms, onions, parsnips, potatoes, radishes, spinach, and turnips flourished.
My, Miss Acornelia smiled. What a garden!
Indeed, Miss Primrose said. Whoever is growing this garden must be very proud of themselves.
Why, thank you, said a male voice from close by.
You're welcome, Miss Primrose answered. But when she realized that the owner of the garden had answered her, she looked towards the owner of the voice. The owner of the garden had walked out of his burrow once he noticed that he had unexpected visitors. He was an older skunk with soft blue eyes, softly magnified by round gold-framed glasses. He wore a white dress shirt fastened with a magenta necktie, a soft pink waistcoat, a cerulean tailcoat, and dark blue trousers. With the rain pouring, he held a black umbrella over his head. He walked closer to the three friends.
Please, he said politely, you shouldn't be out in this weather. My garden needs the rain more than you do.
Thank you, sir, Miss Primrose said. She shivered a bit from the cold weather. So the three friends, taking out some necessities from Primrose's cart, went inside the old skunk's burrow. He closed his umbrella, shaking off the excess rainwater as he went back inside. Inside his burrow, he had a fire going in his stone fireplace. It was warm and cozy, with a plush couch and comfortable wingback chairs. A kettle of water was hanging over the fire, and a pot of soup was bubbling. Miss Serena sniffed the air.
What a lovely smelling soup, Miss Serena commented.
Thank you, miss, the skunk smiled. It's carrots, potatoes, and mushrooms with a touch of cream, salt, and pepper.
Sounds delicious, Miss Serena smiled.
The fragrance does cover the smell of your skunk.
Miss Serena, Miss Primrose said, covering Serena's mouth.
I'm sure she didn't mean anything harmful.
The skunk chuckled politely. I think I know what you mean, he said. You must have noticed that I use a bit of my personal cologne to keep my home safe, so you don't need to pretend you don't notice.
If it's to keep you safe, Miss Primrose said, then we should accept that. She let go of Miss Serena's mouth. Isn't that right?
Yes, we shall, Miss Serena said.
I'm terribly sorry.
It's all right, miss, the skunk said.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, but we haven't properly introduced ourselves. What are your names?
I'm Primrose Powderpuff, said Primrose.
I'm Serena Shadows, said Serena.
And I'm Acornelia Artiste,
said Acornelia.
What's your name?
Wetherby, replied the skunk. Wetherby Whiffton.
A pleasure to meet you, Wetherby, Primrose smiled.
Likewise, Wetherby smiled. If you don't mind me asking, what brings you to Muskberry, more specifically to my little burrow around this time of night? As Wetherby served the female friends a hearty bowl of soup, Primrose explained the story, with Serena and Acornelia adding their own perspectives.
How fascinating, Wetherby smiled. You're very kind to consider asking other animals to help you.
I thought it was a good idea as well, Primrose smiled, as I talked about it with my family and Mr. Lewis Longears, who was chosen last year. Hopefully you or your neighbors caught a glimpse of him when he came through.
Actually, I didn't, Wetherby said. In fact, I don't think any of us in Muskberry did. We did get visits from Easter bunnies before last year, but it seems like last year we weren't so lucky.
Oh dear, Acornelia said. That's unfortunate.
That's all right, Wetherby said. I didn't think it was anything personal. All I could do now is hope that you'll visit us this year, Miss Primrose.
Miss Primrose considered this, and she gave him a smile. I'll do you one better, Mr. Wetherby. Since you were kind enough to keep us safe from this rainstorm, and since I've been asking other animals to help me, why don't I offer you a chance to help us?
Me? Wetherby asked.
Him?
Serena thought to herself. Well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to be helped. Well, Wetherby said, adjusting his glasses, I suppose I could help in my own way. I'm not certain how just yet, but I'm sure I'll do my best to be of service."
"Wonderful!" Miss Primrose smiled. At that moment, the kettle began to whistle.
"Oh," Wetherby said, "tea's ready."
Wetherby served his new friends each a cup of hot Earl Grey tea, pouring a cup for himself last.
"Ah," Acornelia sighed happily.
"I feel warmer already. The cream puffs from earlier would probably go well with this tea," Serena smiled.
"Cream puffs?" Wetherby asked.
"Oh, yes," Miss Primrose said. "I believe I have at least one more if you'd like to try it." She opened the container the cream puffs were kept in. As promised, one cream puff remained. Wetherby took it, sniffed it curiously, and bit into it.
"My," Wetherby said, savoring the flavors.
"What a delightful treat." "I'll make sure to tell my mother you said that," Primrose said.
"I'd like that."
After the four friends finished the soup and tea, the three guests slowly drifted to sleep. It had been a long day for them all and needed the rest for an early start tomorrow. Wetherby, being a nocturnal animal, rested little. The rain had passed by and the morning was hazy. Wetherby decided to slice some pieces of bread to toast in front of the fire. Once the bread was well toasted, he opened a jar of homemade strawberry jam he had kept in his stores. It was around this time that his friends started to stir. They yawned, stretched, and rubbed their sleepy eyes awake.
"Good morning," Wetherby smiled.
"Please, help yourselves." "Good morning, Wetherby," Primrose smiled. "And yes, we certainly shall." The four friends enjoyed their breakfast. The three guests enjoyed the homemade jam. Acornelia smiled, swallowing her bite of food. "Did you make this jam yourself?"
"I did indeed," Wetherby smiled. "Strawberries are my favorite, so even when they're not in season, I must enjoy them."
"This is certainly a splendid way to enjoy them," Serena smiled. After they finished their breakfast, they helped to clean up both the crumbs and themselves. Wetherby put his fire out with a jug of water. Since he would be leaving his home, he knew it wouldn't be safe to have a fire burning unattended. They repacked Primrose's cart with necessities they needed. Once everything was set, the four friends ventured out of Wetherby's home and out of Muskberry. As they left, some of Wetherby's neighbors wished the elder skunk well on his journey. The sun rose higher in the sky, and the friends were enjoying the warmer weather and pleasant conversation. Unbeknownst to them, however, they were being watched. A menacing pair of amber eyes watched from nearby bushes.
"That's the one I told you about," said the owner of the eyes.
As he spoke, three other pairs of eyes got a look at the traveling friends. All three of the pairs of eyes were a deep reddish-purple in color. "So," said the owner of the amber eyes, "do you think you can handle her?"
"We certainly will," a feminine but smoky-sounding voice replied.
"Indeed so," a masculine but cold-sounding voice added.
"With my strength," a second masculine but rough-sounding voice added, "it would be a cinch."
"Good," the owner of the amber eyes said. "Now, get ready to jump them." The friends continued to enjoy their traveling and conversation when, all of a sudden, the four other figures leapt out of the bushes and blocked their path. All four of them were in full view. One of them was a male rabbit wearing a black, wide-brimmed hat, a dark blue suit, and a long flowing black and dark blue cape. Another was a white-furred male wolf wearing a deep blue coat over a red vest, a dark pair of gray slacks, and a scarf with black, red, white, and blue stripes. Another was an orange-furred vixen with a dark red dress and yellow accents. The last was a burly-looking badger wearing a tannish gray cap, a dark green sweatshirt, and dark brown pants. The male rabbit is the only one with hazel eyes, while his three companions had the unnatural reddish-purple eyes.
"That's far enough," said the rabbit. "You're not going any further."
Who are you?" Miss Acornelia exclaimed in surprise.
"My name's not important to you," the male rabbit said. "You can just call me the Rabbit in Dark. And I'm here to teach Miss Primrose a lesson."
"Me?" Miss Primrose asked.
"Oh, wait a minute. Aren't you?" "I'm here to show you the error of your ways," interrupted the Rabbit in Dark. "To think I used your own devious plan against you."
"What do you mean, devious plan?" Miss Serena asked.
"Her plan of using other animals to help, of course," the Rabbit in Dark smirked. "With my own team, I'm going to set an example for her and make sure she only sticks to using rabbits to help her. Mr. Badger, take hold of Miss Primrose. Mr. Wolf and Miss Fox, make sure her little friends don't get in the way. The wolf grabbed hold of Mr. Wetherby by his front, while the rabbit grabbed hold of one of Miss Serena's arms, and one arm held Miss Acornelia's tail. "Hey, let us go!" Miss Acornelia yelled. "If I wasn't," Mr. Wetherby said in a slightly strained tone, "restrained by this wolf gentleman, I would feel tempted to spray." "Thank goodness," the rabbit in dark smirked. Meanwhile, the badger restrained Miss Primrose Powderpuff in his arms. He was very strong, and he held on firmly to the dress-adorning rabbit. "Help!" Miss Primrose shouted. "Please, help me!" "Don't hurt her!" Miss Serena shouted. "Oh, I wouldn't dream of it," the rabbit in dark said. "I want her in a decent enough condition for her extended stay at Bitter Mountain, and you three will be in very big trouble if you try to rescue her." The badger continued the still squirming Miss Primrose in the direction of Bitter Mountain. The rabbit in dark snapped his fingers, and the wolf and vixen threw their captives down. The two of them followed the rabbit in dark to Bitter Mountain. "This is terrible," Miss Serena said. "We have to help Miss Primrose." "Yes," Miss Acornelia said with determination. "And I don't care if we get into trouble with that rabbit in dark. Miss Primrose is our friend." "He might not listen to us, and neither will those three who are working with him," Mr. Wetherby said. Miss Serena then wore a thoughtful expression. "They might listen to King Odaquilius." Miss Acornelia and Mr. Wetherby both gasped in surprise. "King Acornelius? King Odaquilius?" Acornelia asked. "The Winter King?" Mr. Wetherby shivered. "Well, it wouldn't actually be him," Miss Serena said, "but we'll want those four to think that he will talk some sense into those troublemakers." "You mean like a disguise?" Miss Acornelia asked. "Exactly," Miss Serena smiled. "We should have plenty of supplies in Miss Primrose's cart, and I'm certain we can find some good-sized fallen tree branches to act as makeshift antlers." "Well, what are we waiting for?" Acornelia asked, brimming with newfound confidence. "We've got a friend to rescue." "It will be scary," Wetherby said, "but we can't let those fears keep us deterred." "That's the spirit!" Acornelia smiled. Later, the four troublemakers had forced Miss Primrose to Bitter Mountain. It was the coldest part of Holiday Forest, even during the summer months. Miss Primrose immediately began to shiver as the badger forced her onto the cold, icy ground inside the cave. "Why are you doing this?" Miss Primrose asked. "To make sure you never cause trouble again," the rabbit in dark smirked. "Easter is for us rabbits and rabbits alone." "That shouldn't always be true, Mr. Lewis Longears," Miss Primrose said, recognizing the voice of her captor. "Shush!" the rabbit in dark, correctly identified as Mr. Lewis Longears, said. "In this ensemble, I am the rabbit in dark, and don't you forget it." "Oh, brother," Miss Primrose said, rolling her eyes. "Anyway," the rabbit in dark continued, "you see now that with this trio of other animals working with me, you'll know that other animals working with rabbits are a bad idea." "So, how did you convince them to work with you?" Miss Primrose asked. "Since it would be some time before you succumb to the icy atmosphere, I suppose I can tell you my secret," the rabbit in dark said. "I made a special potion posed as hot blackberry tea. Then, I subtly served a cupful to all three of my friends here. They fell under my spell and answered to my whims. There was some malarkey in the book I got the potion recipe from that said, and should they cry, they'll weep out the potion, but I'll make sure that doesn't happen. So now that you know that, you know now not to call on other animals to help you." Outside the cave entrance, Acornelia, Serena, and Wetherby had arrived. They were able to hear Lewis Longears' taunting words. "That's what he thinks," whispered Serena. "Ready to put our plan together?" "I certainly am," whispered Acornelia with a smirk. "As am I," whispered Wetherby. Carefully, Serena helped Acornelia onto her shoulders. The two then helped Wetherby onto Acornelia's shoulders. There was a bit of a wobble, and Acornelia did have to use more of her efforts, since Wetherby was taller and heavier than she was. But they figured they would be in the disguise for the right amount of time, so Acornelia worked as well as she could. "You won't get away with this," Miss Primrose argued. That's where you're wrong, the rabbit in dark said. Your so-called friends will be in for a very grave trouble if they come to your rescue. Oh, but someone has come to her rescue, said a regal yet intimidating male voice. Huh? The rabbit in dark asked. He and the other animals turned to the entrance of the cave. Casting a large impressive shadow on the wall is a tall creature. It resembled a deer standing upright, only with a full bulky body. It was dressed in thick blue clothes, his first tree-like antlers, and a piercing pair of blue eyes. Unbeknownst to the rabbit in the dark, the figure was in truth Mr. Wetherby posing as the head of the being, Miss Acornelia carrying him on her shoulders as the stump, and Miss Serena carrying them both on her shoulders posing as the legs. It is I, King Oedicolius, Mr. Wetherby said, disguising his voice, and I hereby order you to release young Miss Primrose Powderpuff at once. Oh, the rabbit in dark said, feigning fright. I certainly will, your highness. You have caught me, so why don't you come over here and teach me a lesson I won't soon forget? Yes, Mr. Wetherby said, still trying to remain in character. Yes, I will do just that. The makeshift king carefully wobbled towards the rabbit in dark, only to slip on the cold, icy ground and stumble down. They weren't terribly hurt, but the fall did cause them to come out of their disguise. Wetherby took his glasses out of his jacket pocket and put them back on his face. I knew you were a fake, the rabbit in dark chuckled. King Oedicolius has one slip on the ice while you fell haphazardly. I saw right through your pitiful plan, and I figured you'd be around to rescue your little friend. Mr. Wolf, Mr. Fox, Mr. Badger, restrain our guests. The three friends scrambled, trying to evade the three hench beasts. The wolf gentleman captured Serena, the vixen grabbed Acornelia by her tail, and the badger restrained Wetherby, making sure the skunk wouldn't spray. I warned you that there would be trouble, and you all fell into some deep trouble indeed, the rabbit in dark said, with a wicked smirk on his face. He then turned his attention to Miss Powderpuff. Do you have anything you want to say to your mismatched friends? Primrose was quiet for a while. Then she sighed sadly and turned to her friends, each one still in the clutches of the respective captors. Serena, Acornelia, Wetherby, Primrose began, tears swarming in her eyes. I am so sorry for causing you all of this. Perhaps I should have left well enough alone and done the celebration in a more traditional way, instead of roping you into a dangerous situation. The three listened to Primrose's apology. They turned to each other and exchanged sympathetic looks. At last, Serena began to speak. Miss Primrose, she began, you have absolutely no need to apologize. Before I met you, I never thought to travel beyond my burrow home in Hoppersfield. Now that you've shown me such lovely sights, you've opened my eyes for me to see that there is a beautiful world out there. And, Acornelia added, you've shown me the most spectacular colors aside from my normal palette. I'm one to admit I've been in a right slump creativity-wise, but after meeting you three and joining you on our journey, my head is chock full of vivid and colorful thoughts that I certainly can't wait to share with the others. As for myself, added Wetherby, I never thought any other creature besides my own would give me second thoughts in making my acquaintance. But knowing you three were so willing to be my friend, regardless of the fact that I'm a skunk, you've made me realize that there are kind creatures out there to befriend. As the three animals spoke to Primrose, tears of joy formed in their eyes. The animal captors listened to them speak, and even they felt touched by their genuinely kind words. What we're trying to say, Primrose, Serena added, is that you've made our lives so much better with your kindness, creativity, and open-mindedness, and we're forever grateful to know of you, Acornelia said, and each other. We love you, Primrose, Wetherby concluded. Primrose's tears subsided, and she couldn't help but sniffle. Oh, everyone, I love all of you, too. These vulnerable feelings seeped into the hearts of the three animal captors. The rabbit in dark gasped as he noticed their tears beginning to flow into the captor's eyes. They blinked a bit, and the reddish-purple eyes changed. The wolf had golden hazel eyes, the vixen had amber eyes, and the badger had deep green eyes. Where am I? Asked the wolf. He then looked to see who was still holding Serena in his grasp. He gently set her down. Oh, I terribly apologize. I also apologize, the vixen said in a warm and sweet voice. I don't know what has come over me. The first thing I knew was that I was having a cup of tea around home, the badger nervously stammered. Next I'm in a cold cave with animals I've never met. I haven't caused too much trouble, have I? Asked the wolf to Serena. A bit, Serena admitted, but it wasn't really your fault. No! The rabbit in dark growled. You three have ruined everything. How could we have ruined everything? The vixen asked. We don't even know what we've done. Not you, them, snapped the rabbit in dark, motioning to Primrose's friends. He pointed to Serena. You joined Miss Primrose when you had no business of doing more than you were supposed to do. He pointed at Acornelia. You should have stayed up in the trees with your head always being in the clouds. And lastly, he pointed at Wetherby. And you stink! Hey now, Miss Primrose said. That is uncalled for. You don't even know them. You're the worst of the lot, the rabbit in dark growled, focusing his anger at Miss Primrose. Queen Lapidaria never should have chosen you to be the Easter Bunny this year. You are a troublemaking rabbit with ideas above her ears, and I feel that you— Enough! Said a commanding voice. The animals turned their attention to the voice that came from the entrance of the cave. They were graced with a dark gray and white buck, wearing regal-looking garments in various shades of blue and a darker gray in comparison to his coat. His coat was fastened with an ice-blue snowflake-like gem fastener. He walked on the icy floor as he remained upright without so much as one slip. The animals gasped and genuflected. This was the real King Oedecoilius. I have heard of a rabbit who was causing trouble for other animals, King Oedecoilius said, his voice sounding stern but still regal. Yes, so great King Oedecoilius, the rabbit in dark squirmed, glaring at Primrose. Yes, King Oedecoilius continued. This rabbit who would force other animals to follow his orders and nearly harmed those who were willing to give other animals a chance. Yes, that the rabbit in dark started before he realized the pronouns King Oedecoilius used. Wait, you don't mean me, do you? Who'd you think you mean? Said the badger. He cleared his throat and turned his attention back to the Winter King. You may continue, your majesty. Thank you, earnest Earthclaw. King Oedecoilius nodded respectfully. He then turned to face Louis Longears sternly. As for you, you intentionally caused trouble, and you had no hold to apologize for making amends. I'm sorry, your highness, Louis stammered, but when you really get down to it, it was all Primrose's fault. She was the one who got the idea to work with other creatures first, which was what Queen Lapidaria saw in Primrose's heart, Queen Oedecoilius said. Her willingness to give other animals a chance to share in the holiday is what allowed the Vernal Queen to make her decision easier. You don't understand, your highness, Louis said. Rabbits should help rabbits. It's our holiday. Didn't you ask other rabbits to help when you were in charge last year? King Oedecoilius asked. Not counting your family? Well, Louis said. No, because my family and I did such a good job at it. But if I did need the help, I certainly would have asked fellow rabbits to help. I wouldn't ask any filthy groundhogs or any airheaded squirrels, and I certainly wouldn't have asked any stinky old skunks. The other animals were absolutely appalled at the way Louis Longears was speaking about them. Wetherby, in particular, was also very hurt. Before he realized it, his right foot began slowly yet steadily tapping. King Oedecoilius noticed this, and he gave a silent motion to the other animals to be cautious. He knew what was about to happen. Certainly, King Oedecoilius warned Louis. You don't mean that. Oh, I do, Louis smirked, crossing his arms and closing his eyes in a proud manner. I mean, that smell of theirs. You must admit that you yourself should be ashamed of such an odious smell. It didn't make me regret skipping over Muskberry when I did my rounds. I was afraid you would say that, King Oedecoilius said grimly, as he led the other animals, minus Louis and Wetherby, out of the cave. Wait, why would you— Louis opened one of his eyes, and saw that Wetherby's foot went from a light tap to a fierce stomp. The skunk then turned around so that its backside was facing Louis. Oh wait, you aren't going to— No, stop! No! But it was too late. Wetherby had sprayed Lewis with a powerful burst of musk. This musk not only made Lewis smell awful, but he also choked and gagged with disgust, and for a while he couldn't see. Outside of the cave, most of the other animals had blocked their noses. The only exceptions were King Odocoilius and Ernest Earthclaw. Goodness, Acornelia said with a light chuckle. That is some powerful musk, yet certainly effective. Indeed, said the vixen. She then turned to see Ernest wasn't covering his nose. Isn't the smell bothering you? Honestly, not really. Yeah, Ivo said with a shrug. Ernest said with a shrug. And in actuality, I kind of like it. After a short time, Wetherby timidly stepped out of the cave. He was scratching the back of his head sheepishly. Terribly sorry about that, he said. That happens when I get upset, you know. No need to apologize, Primrose said. Honestly, Mr. Longears had it coming. At that moment, the very rabbit stepped out of the cave. He had an embarrassed look on his face, and he was using his wide-brimmed hat to hide himself. It turns out I was mistaken before, Serena said with a smirk. It's not skunks that stink. It's those who mess with skunks that stink. The animals couldn't help but laugh at Serena's joke. Even Wetherby himself was willing to laugh. Lewis slinked away in embarrassment. Aren't you going to stop him? Asked the wolf. I feel he has been punished enough, Mr. Ivo Icefang, King Odocoilius answered. However, if he does decide to cause trouble to other animals again, I will take action. Speaking of causing trouble, the vixen said, she turned her attention to Primrose. I still don't know exactly what Mr. Lewis Longears made us do, but I'm still so very sorry for any harm I caused you or your friends. I'm sorry too, said the wolf named Ivo Icefang. And me too, Ernest said. I forgive you, Primrose said. You weren't completely to blame for what happened. She is correct, King Odocoilius said with a patient smile. Since neither Ernest Earthclaw, Mr. Ivo Icefang, nor Miss Fay Flametail were completely aware of your actions during your hypnotized states, I've no ill will with you either, especially considering your willingness to apologize. Earthclaw, Icefang, Flametail, Serena said to herself, it's incredible to think each of your surnames can relate to elements of nature. You're right, they are, said the vixen whose name was Flametail. Anyway, said Ivo, if there's anything we can do to make things right with you, we'd be happy to help. Primrose considered this. She then huddled with her three friends, who whispered among themselves to each other. After a few moments, they broke apart from the huddle. Actually, I think we might have an idea, Primrose said. Perhaps you could join with our Easter preparation. Us? Ernest said. Gosh, nobody's ever asked us to do that before. Though, Fay asked, won't 7 animals be too much? Where I come from, Primrose said, more friends are definitely merrier. On top of that, Serena said, we have never helped with the Easter preparation either, until Primrose came into our lives, and now we're friends. So, Acornelia said, spending time with us and helping us will show that we can be friends with you too. So, Wetherby said, adjusting his glasses, what do you say? Ivo, Fay, and Ernest put some thought into the offer. Then they smiled and offered. Not sure how exactly we'll help, Ernest said, but show us what jobs need to be done, and we'll do our best. Though, on one condition, Ivo said, no hypnotism potions, please. That we can guarantee, Primrose smiled. Don't worry about that. Queen Lapidaria did indeed make the right call, King Odocoilius smiled. Your sense of fair play is Easter Bunny material. Thank you, Primrose curtsied. Now, what do you say we all head back to Hoppersfield? We have preparations to do. And so, Primrose and her new friends all made the long journey from the base of Bitter Mountain to the lush green land of Hoppersfield. They did stop a few moments to rest, but they managed to survive with good food and better conversation. When they first arrived at Hoppersfield, the rabbits welcomed Primrose home. The Powderpuff family were especially glad to see her again. They also took the time to get to know Primrose's new friend, making sure all of them were warmly welcomed. After a day of rest, Primrose's family and their newfound friends got to work preparing a most wonderful Easter celebration. Sometime during their preparation, Mr. Lewis Longears, who had cleaned himself up from getting sprayed, rejoined Hoppersfield. At first, most of the rabbits and even some of the other animals weren't pleased to see him. It did take a lot of time, a lot of work, and a lot of apologizing, but eventually Primrose and her friends forgave Loomis. He even managed to help when he could. Afterwards, the big day had arrived, and Miss Primrose set off on her journey to deliver eggs and candy baskets for everyone. But she wasn't alone on her journey. Right by her side were Serena Shadows, Acornelia Artiste, Wetherby Whiffton, Ivo Icefang, Faye Flametail, and Ernest Earthclaw. It was definitely an Easter celebration that would not be forgotten for a long, long time. And the animals of Holiday Forest, like in all good stories, lived happily ever after. The end.